Jim Bowden just put out an MLB realignment a couple days ago, and I kind of want to go through it because Jim Bowden has some good takes sometimes, but a lot of times it's mostly clickbaity, and let's just get into it. So with the Eastern Conference, we'll start out in the East. You got the Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, and Phillies. Somehow Jim Bowden decided to put the most toxic fan bases and honestly some of the biggest fan bases in baseball all in one division to face each other. I think this division is way too stacked. You got the Red Sox, which are kind of in a rebuild type of sorts. You got the Mets, which have one of the best owners in all the baseball, Steve Cohen, constantly buying free agents and honestly helping homegrown prospects turn into stars. I'm honestly really looking forward to watching the Mets come 2023. So you got people like Brett Beatty playing, Francisco Alvarez, a bunch of young stars. And on top of that, you got the Yankees in this division. The Yankees have the former MVP. Of course, I'm a Yankees fan. They're always going to go out and get free agents and, have some homegrown prospects here and there. Why did I just get so bright all of a sudden? And then you got the Phillies, are a team that just went to the World Series. They got Bryce Harper on their team. They got JT Realmuto. You got a bunch of players. You got Kyle Schwarber still. You have a just competitive division that just seems too much for the East. And also you have the Red Sox. The Red Sox just seem like the odd man out. Yes, of course, the Yankees rivalry with the Red Sox will always be a unique type of thing, but the Boston Red Sox are a team that kind of is coming off a really weird season. The Red Sox have some stars like Rafael Devers still on their squad, but still the Red Sox seem like they're continuing to be in a rebuild phase. Chaim Bloom, of course, is a whole nother situation, but still, I think the Red Sox will never be able to recover from trading away Mookie Betts and letting Xander Bogaerts walk in free agency. It will take the Red Sox a lot of time for them to finally be competitive again in this division if they were to do so. Now in the North, we got the Reds, Guardians, Tigers, and Blue Jays. I'm just gonna say it straight out, this is the Blue Jays division to take. The Guardians can compete as well, but honestly, the Blue Jays just seem like a team that has a lot of potential to be really good in the future. The Guardians, of course, too, did really well. They made the playoffs and honestly have proven that contact hitting baseball still matters in today's MLB. The Guardians aren't a team that hit home runs. You pretty much got J-Ram and that's it for your home runs. Everyone else is a contact hitter. They're the blooping Guardians, but I still think the Guardians are a really good team, don't get me wrong. And then of course you got the Tigers and the Reds, probably some of the saddest teams in baseball, and honestly their fan bases are too sad to even watch their games. And like I said, I love these teams, but it just sucks because the Tigers were once such a really good team, and obviously the Reds have Joey Votto. I love those two teams, don't get me wrong, but right now they're in a rebuild. They don't have much to talk about and they don't have much to prove for them to be a playoff contending team. So ending them in this North division just doesn't seem like a good idea. Now the Mid-Atlantic is a division where I could see is actually quite fair, and I think Jim Bowden was going for a way to balance out all the teams so it wasn't like one team was stomping the rest of the divisions, but somehow he still let that happen. But it's different in the Mid-Atlantic because they have the Orioles, Pirates, and Nationals, and of course the Charlotte, which is the expansion team. And yeah, let's talk about this because the Orioles I think are one of the most underrated teams in baseball. All three of these teams have some of the youngest players in baseball, and I generally think that they can do really well. The Orioles of course have a lot of young prospects like Adley Rutschman that is now an MLB player, came second in Rookie of the Year. You got Gunnar Henderson, which is a favorite to win Rookie of the Year next year, and you got a bunch of young people like Grayson Rodriguez are ready to come up, and honestly I think the Orioles can compete in the AL East. Now the Pirates of course have some of the youngest stars like Onel Cruz. I'm an Onel Cruz enjoyer. I love watching that guy hit balls, and honestly just him being like 7 feet tall is just fun to watch because he's a shortstop. That dude is lengthy. And then you got the Nationals. They have Joey Meneses and a bunch of other people like CJ Abrams. They're a very young team that has a lot of potential to do really well. Honestly, going into 2023, I'm going to be looking at if Joey Meneses actually plays a lot because he could be a Rookie of the Year candidate. You never know. And if CJ Abrams could be a really flashy shortstop because he showed that when he was with the Nationals, when he actually got traded in the Juan Soto deal. Now, let's get to the Southeast because this is where I started to realize Jim Bowden kind of just threw everything out the window when he said he was trying to balance out the divisions, because you got the Braves, Marlins, and the Rays, and you got Nashville, which is supposed to be the expansion team. The Braves are walking away with this division. It's easy enough to say that the Braves are one of the best teams in baseball. They got a really big young core that just got signed till like 2029 or 2031, 32 or something like that. They have some of the best starting pitchers in all of baseball, and they just will continue to be really good as long as injuries don't happen. Now the only team I actually see fighting the Braves for even a #1 spot in that division is honestly the Rays. The Rays are always a franchise. They're just gonna have that one all-star player randomly come up from their minor league system and become the next Babe Ruth or something like that. The Rays are best known to make their pitching prospects turn into all-star pitchers, and I generally think the Rays would actually compete with the Braves, but at the end of the day, the Braves are taking that division home. You You also have the Marlins in here, which is kind of funny because the poor Marlins are in one of the toughest divisions already in the NL East, and honestly, I don't see them competing for a very long time. The Marlins have one of the best pitching rotations in baseball, don't get me wrong. Sandy Alcantara coming off of a Cy Young, continuing to prove why he's worth the contract he's getting paid, and honestly, he's probably getting paid way too less, but that's for another video. And of course, you have the Nashville expansion team. There's not much to say about that. Within the Western Conference, we'll start off with the Midwest. We have the Cubs, the White Sox, the Brewers, and the Twins. Right now, I think this is a pretty good division in my opinion. I think this division could provide a pretty competitive atmosphere, and the reason I say is because they're all kind of teams that are kind of in that same spot as a franchise. The Cubs are kind of in the middle of rebuild, but yet again, they could contend for a playoff. Same thing with the White Sox. The White Sox were actually projected to be in the World Series in 2021, but they kind of just had a really bad year, and that's partially due to coaching and other things like that, and injuries, of course. The Brewers are a weird team, right? The Brewers have so much potential. They have Yelich on their team that, hey, was an MVP at one point. He is not the same anymore, and the Brewers kind of just gave away one of the best closers in all of baseball at the trade deadline. They're a team that's slowly rebuilding, and I don't even know if they'll be able to compete in the coming years. And then you have the Twins. The Twins are one of the teams I really am looking forward to watching come the 2023 season. The Twins, man, have a lot of pieces that need to prove themselves similar to the Cubs. The Twins have Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo, of course, I'm a Joey Gallo fan. I'm an enjoyer. I love when Joey Gallo hits. He's a guy that will be your home run or strikeout hitter, but I think with the shift going away, Joey Gallo will be really fun to watch. And I think it's kind of similar to Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger wasn't a big shift type of hitter. I just think Cody Bellinger is coming off of a really bad season. Generally really excited to watch him play. The White Sox have some of the best pitching in all of baseball still. I love Dylan Cease. I love watching Dylan Cease, and I think he's going to be a really good piece for the White Sox in the coming season. Now in the Southwest, we got the Astros, Royals, Cardinals, and Rangers. I think it's safe to say the Astros are running away with this division every single year. Unless the Cardinals somehow become the best team in baseball, or the Rangers, because slowly the Rangers are kind of building themselves back up again. And honestly, they just literally bought out a rotation in free agency, so I get where the Rangers are coming from. But at the same time, the Cardinals have been there for a bit. They've been doing okay with, you know, their homegrown talent. Of course, they got Arenado and stuff like that. But still, I think the Cardinals can be competitive. But yet again, the Astros are the best team in baseball. There's nothing stopping the Astros right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they repeat in 2023. In the Pacific Coast, we got the Rockies, Athletics, Mariners, and Giants. I like to call this division the Mariners division, or even the Giants. I don't know. Right now, the Athletics and the Rockies are teams that are trying to fight to play 500 ball. Literally, the Rockies GM came out and was like, oh, we're aiming for 500 ball next season, even though we got a former MVP on our team, Chris Bryant. We're not going to use him in his prime or something. And the Athletics, of course, are always buying players at literally the trade deadline or even free agency just to sell them at the trade deadline to get more players, young prospects, just to keep doing it, rinse and repeat. I'm sorry, Athletic Plans. I just feel bad for you. And then the Mariners are a team that's slowly becoming a really good team. And the reason I say is because one, they got Julio Rodriguez, and two, the person that is running their front office, I forget his name all the time. He's doing a bunch of trades. He's been doing a really good job. You have an ace for your future with Luis Castillo. You have a young rotation that's doing really well. You have a former Cy Young winner on your team. And of course, you guys just went to the playoffs this season. That is really good. That's a great start for the Mariners, and I expect them to do more. But yet again, I think this is a Mariners division. The Giants are a team that somehow always become like really good and then just fall flat. Like I said, the Giants had a sort of dynasty in the beginning of the 2010s. They were insane. I love watching me some Giants baseball, especially one of my favorite pitchers, Tim Lincecum. He was really fun to watch, and I don't know, I feel bad that he kind of fell off a cliff, but the Giants have not been the same since their playoff and World Series birth. So let's talk about the West. The West is really interesting because I feel like not much changes besides the Diamondbacks. You got the Diamondbacks, the Angels, the Dodgers, and the Padres. This division just seems competitive all throughout. The Dodgers and Padres are always going to be competitive. They're a team that's always fighting for the next opportunity to become a World Series champion. I think everyone is at the same time, but still the Padres and Dodgers are always fighting for those free agents, those trade acquisitions, you know, especially with Shohei Ohtani probably going to be sold at the trade deadline unless the Angels actually do really well this season, which would be really interesting. And the Diamondbacks seem like the team that's kind of sadly in this division because they aren't that good, but yet again, they have a lot of promising prospects like Corbin Carroll and things like that. I don't know if I said his name correctly. And of course, they have a lot of young stars on that Snakes team, prospects that I think are going to do really well. And you know, I think the division's quite fair, to be honest. So what do you guys think of Jim Bowden's proposed realignment for the MLB? Let me know if you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. My name's Joe. Have a good one. Bye.